Enduring Love, Maxine, Donovan daughter, followed by the eulogy. After that, the James Hill choir will minister in song.
As you've heard before, this is very special to Mommy and Daddy. Love at first sight. The hours I spent with thee, dear heart, is like a string of pearls to me. I count them over every one apart. My rosary, my rosary. Each hour a pearl, each pearl a prayer, to still a heart in absence wrong. I tell each beat unto the end, and there a cross is hung. Oh, memories that bless and burn, oh, barren gain and bitter loss. I kiss each bead and strive at last to kiss the cross, sweetheart, to kiss the cross, sweetheart.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I know this is not a concert or should not be a festive occasion, really. But I have to say, I'm having a good time. And I hope you all are having a good time. We are not shedding tears. We're celebrating. Before I get into this, I think Mrs. Livermore basically said I could go home. Her eulogy, I would call it that, was very impressive. And we've had some wonderful statements, presentations from different people talking about my parents. I should say my father, but I always think of my mother and my father together as a team. I want to thank a few people here, though. Miss Livermore, who insisted that she had to be on the program. Okay? And of course, she's a pianist, the organist, and I'm very happy and very thankful that she was able to do that. I have to thank Sybil. Sybil, are you here? Sybil and her team with Marie Gunn was responsible for the decorations. They came early in the morning, early yesterday, and they fixed the place, and I think they have done quite a good job. I also want to thank Kylie Gohagan, who was responsible, and you will see before long, for the repast. She's the one who has organized all of the refreshments, the corrigot, and things like that, which we have at the Claude McKay High School. And of course, I'm leaving Annie for last because Annie surprised me. I was in total awe when I came to James Hill on Monday evening, National Heroes Day, and I saw a number of people sitting outside our shop, cutting some plastic bottles in half and filling it with sand. And I'm looking there and I'm wondering, what are they doing? And Annie says this is for the candlelight vigil that they're going to have. I said, oh wow, that's great. I figured that we would have maybe 20 or so people who would be walking from the home with from the previous Tapper home with candles and walk to the church. But what I saw really moved me. I can't express how impressive a sight it was to see from the James Hill house all the way down to the church on each side of the street, 10 to 15 feet apart, candles in the dark from that house all the way down here. It was an amazing experience to see this, and I want to thank Annie for that. Annie explained to me we wanted to do this on National Heroes Day because Mr. Tapper and Mrs. Tapper are the heroes of our community. And I gather that they will be having a massive event next National Heroes Day, and I can assure you that all the family will be here again to commemorate or to mark that occasion with those of you who will participate. I must also thank someone who is here, Miss Faith Petgrave. Faith Petgrave is the owner, manager of the Eunice Hutton home in Mandeville, where my mother and my father spent their last days. And Faye and her nurses did an outstanding job caring for them during this time. Talking about the love between my mother and father. My mother had begun to lose her memory as dementia began to take its toll. And my father was fine. He could have still been at home in the United States, having fun in Fort Lauderdale and traveling back to New York with his children and enjoying the good life. But he opted, as a very healthy person, to come and stay with Mama. And so Mama and Daddy were at the Eunice Hutton home. And I think that is a most selfless act on his part, and it just indicates the degree of commitment and the love that they shared together. When I received a call 4 Thursdays ago from Faith at the Eunice Hutton home, telling me that my father, the man who protected me, nurtured me, cared for me, and loved me for more than 60 years, had gently slipped away. I was overcome with a profound feeling of sadness, a feeling of great loss, but I think that was to be expected. However, when I consider that he was and is now resting in the arms of our great God and Father, and that once again he will be with the woman he married, lived with, and loved for more than 70 years, I feel nothing but joy. And my sisters and family feel nothing else but joy. I am happy. He was a gentleman, a kind man, and a man who loved everyone he came in contact with. I think growing up he spanked me once. I don't remember what I did, but must have been terrible. Possibly the equivalent of starting a nuclear war. But what did he do? He rolled up one sheet of the cleaner, newspaper cleaner, one sheet, he rolled it up and he whacked me with it. Wow. He spanked me. But don't think I got away easy. Those of you who knew my mother knew that I wouldn't get away at all. She was good with the strap and she practiced on me. So any of you who got it, you have to thank me. Okay. She did not spare the rod. I was the example of that. My early recollection of my dad and our family life included him taking me to my first cricket match at Melbourne Park in Kingston to see the MCC playing against Jamaica. I was perhaps 5 years old. I remember a batsman by the name of Neville Bonito. He hit a huge six. And I enjoyed the game tremendously. But I really just enjoyed being with him. I really don't remember much about the cricket match. I also remember staying up throughout the night listening to test matches between West Indies and Australia, which would start maybe 11 o'clock at night, and up to 5 in the morning we'd be listening. And there was also a time when he must have had the only radio in James Hill, and there would be dozens of people in the living room listening to Test cricket. Those are some of my memories. Lascelles Tapper, also known as Papa Tapper, Teddy Tapper in his younger years, was born in Barracks, St. Anne on 28 February 1912 to Emma Simmons, Miss Emma from Tweedside, and Lascelles Tapper, Masterless of Barbary, St. Anne. And in his later years, as he was becoming this iconic figure in James Hill and the surrounding communities, he became known as Mas Teddy, Mas Papa, and just plain Daddy. Daddy to everyone. I have been told many times by members of the various communities that although we are his birth children, he will feel with Daddy too. And I think they mean it. He had sisters Hazel, now deceased, Ruby and Beryl, presently residing in the United States, and brother Hugh, also deceased. At a young age, his paternal grandmother, Miss Rebecca Wilson Tapper, and grandfather, James Lafort Tapper of Barbridge, Mass Jim, took him to live with them in Barbridge. Rebecca Wilson Tapper was a big landowner and businesswoman. Young Teddy became a first-class mechanic, one who could diagnose any problem with the car or truck engine just by listening to it. I don't know if you remember that. Those were days when the engines, the motors were not computerized and people had to really work at it, use their brain. Not that the computer diagnosed it, you diagnose it by listening what was happening. Most of you will not know that a few years in the 1940s, he drove the Mayflower bus on the Christiana to Kingston route. I'm sure you didn't know that. After a few years, he bought his first truck and became a haulage contractor. One of his biggest customers was the then Blake's Bakery in Barbridge, which at the time was probably the biggest bakery in St. Anne, Clarendon and Manchester. He would make weekly trips into Kingston to pick up bulk sugar, flour, barrels of oil, and barrels of fuel. In addition to that, he maintained the bakery's fleet of bread vans. During this period, Teddy became known as a top-class cricketer, playing at different times for St. Anne's Parish in Manchester and, of course, for his local Barbridge Indian Town team, and later for James Hill. He made several centuries during this period. I can remember Mother Young, who used to live over there. She used to make her fritters, and she would be sending them at the ball ground, and I think she made the best fritters ever. Those were the times when saltfish, the price of saltfish, made it affordable, and there was actual saltfish in the fritters. Right. Sometime in the mid-40s, he was contracted to take a group of Tabernacle Church members to the beach in Discovery Bay. One of the church members was a beautiful, lithe, tall, and elegant young lady by the name of Enid. He came and picked up the group. When the truck reached Discovery Bay and the beachgoers began descending from the truck, as the lithe and beautiful young Enid jumped off the truck, who do you think was there to catch her? Well, he positioned himself well. There began a love story unlike any that most of us have ever experienced or will ever experience in our lives, or read about, or seen in the movies. It was a love that lasted for more than 70 years. One that saw them merge into one being, Mommy and Daddy. 70 years where one never raised their voice against the other and never quarreled. Yes, they disagreed sometimes, but never disrespectfully. And they disagreed as partners. During those years, Daddy Tapper became one of Clarence's great philanthropists. He gave without counting the cost. He gave to anyone who came and asked for help or for money. He was often awakened in the dead of night by people in the community who were sick and needed to go to the hospital. He would take them there and often ended up paying for their treatment and medicines out of his own pocket and not even asking them to reimburse him. He and the lithe, beautiful woman took children from off the street, sent them to high school or college. They sent several young ladies who worked at their home, to England, to Canada, and the United States at their own expense, so they could better themselves. Daddy was very much loved by the people of the communities. I will tell you a little story about how he was loved. And there was quite a few people here who can vouch for that. Daddy had several cows and some land he had in Barbados. One of those cows, which he called Starboy, and many of you, I know John is someplace over there, Black John, he can tell you about Starboy and a couple of others. Starboy grew up, was born at the rear of the house where he also kept some cows, and lived, in the pen for a couple of years. Then Starboy was moved to Bogbowl with the other cows. Starboy loved Daddy. Yes. We're talking about something almost like St. Francis of Assisi. Yeah. Starboy loved Daddy. How do I know? Whenever Starboy, independent Bogbowl, heard the truck coming from anywhere, he would run out to the gate to meet him. And Daddy would give him a banana. That's probably why he loved him. Gave him a banana. And all the other cows eventually caught up on what Starboy was doing. And each time the truck was coming, all of the cows began running up to the gate. And Starboy became offended. He would be fighting them off and chasing them off, because he felt that Daddy was his. So, the point I'm making, it's not only people who care for Daddy. I have seen the most ferocious dog running down the hill and get right in front of him and stop. Just stop and look at him. He had a knack of relating to animals, and he loved animals. He loved his dogs. Daddy used to have, every Christmas, and some of you may be familiar with that, he would always have a treat for children. Christmas morning, about 11 o'clock, dozens of kids, sometimes hundreds, would come to the house, and they would have their curry goat feed, they would have their ice cream, and then he would take them on a ride to Discover Bay or whatever. But all the kids look forward to that, and that is something he did for over 30 years. And obviously, at the point where he stopped working, and economic situation became a little bit different, it was difficult to maintain that. But this is what he did. They gave without considering the cost. Daddy and Mom Tapper raised 5 children, wrapping them in a cocoon of love and care. Gloria, Rebecca, Gordon, the little one Liz, and Maxine. Obviously, absolutely no difference between birth children and the children that they call their children. I think that's really very special. Daddy had another son by the name of Bunny, Avery Tapper, who passed away I think in 2000, while manager of the sugar factory at Louisville. Daddy leaves behind grandchildren Stephen, Shelley, Jason, Trudy, Christopher, Max, Todd, Donald, Paul, Margot, and a number of great-grandchildren. Brooklyn, Lola,